In this movie, let's talk about the oldest star who is still alive. Also, don't worry, we're not going to talk about those clouds of gas in the sky at night. Barb Eden is what we are going to talk about. You may have forgotten who she is, but when we say that we're talking about Jeannie from I Dream of Jeannie, you will remember. She's been in the business since the 1960s, and most of her co-stars have died since then. But even though she is 93 years old, there is something about her that will chill you. Why does that happen? What kind of life did she have? So what does she do now? Watch the whole video to find out what happened. Let's go back in time to Tucson, Arizona, where Barbara Eden was born. Alice Mary Moorhead and Hubert Henry Moorhead had her on August 23, 1931. We know that some of you will start to doubt us when you say that she was born in 1934. We think that's wrong, though. Her parents' split, which happened only 3 years after she was born, was the first hard thing she had to go through. She and her mother were having a terrible time with money, but her grandparents helped them move to El Paso, Texas. When Eden became close with her grandfather, who became her rock star father figure since she didn't have a real father, something surprisingly good happened. He was there for her all her life. Her heart was going to break for the worst reason soon, but she had no idea what it was. With the money they saved, they were able to move to San Francisco, where her mother met a new man and got married again. It wasn't like getting married again solved all of their troubles. It was because they were still having money problems after they got married. After all, her stepfather didn't make a lot of money because he was just a telegraph worker. You might think that having a childhood like that would scar someone for life, but Eden, she has happy memories of rollerblading on the wharf and hearing her dad talk about how much he loves fishing. There were times when Eden's family had to move because of money problems. Because of this, she went to not one, not two, but 5 different schools in San Francisco. After finishing secondary school at Abraham Lincoln Secondary School in 1949, she became an adult. This is also where she discovered her love of music, which inspired her to become a dancer and pop singer when she was a teenager. Eden quickly realized what she was meant to do, and it was clear that it was in the entertainment business, or at least the good part of the entertainment business, she thought. It made her want to learn more, so she went to the Elizabeth Holloway School of Theater at the San Francisco Conservatory of Music and City College of San Francisco. So she worked herself silly because her skill was so clear that it could kill other people. She was named Miss San Francisco in 1951. She was thrilled with her first win, which put her in the public eye. The most important thing that changed in her life was when her acting teacher told her to join a beauty contest to get over her shyness, which was holding her back. At first, she was very nervous, but finally getting over her fear and acting in front of a huge crowd set the stage for her future career. When she finally got to Hollywood, his first thought was that she had gone to hell. As soon as she moved to Hollywood, the people around her started making her feel bad because they weren't afraid to be sexist and even body shame her. It may seem crazy to you and like we're lying, but it's all true. At one point, a Warner Brothers talent agent turned down Eden because of how she looked. They thought it would be easy for a newcomer like her to quickly meet their high beauty standards. They didn't know it yet, but Eden was different from the others. She refused to give in to these pressures and made the brave decision to become a character actress instead of changing how she looked to fit the standards of the business. It made everyone look bad that just 6 months later, the same talent scout who hadn't seen her ability when they met at Warner Brothers was now giving her a screen test. People liked Eden's early acting work in the 1950s and early 1960s, even though it wasn't much. She made guest roles on well-known TV shows like I Love Lucy, Gunsmoke, Father Knows Best, and Perry Mason. She also got regular parts in less well-known shows and went on The Johnny Carson Show. After hearing this, some people thought she would only be a small-time performer from now on. But she had bigger plans. What did that mean? Let's find out. All of these projects didn't get her the attention she was looking for, but she had bigger plans. In her mind, she wanted people to like her so much that when she got a big part, everyone would die for her. That's exactly what happened when she got her first big role in the TV version of How to Marry a Millionaire. She played a character that was based on Marilyn Monroe. As a fun fact, this wasn't what made her the famous Barbara Eden we know today. In 1965, she got her big break when she was cast as Jeannie in the NBC show I Dream of Jeannie. When it first came out, the show was an instant hit. Eden became a huge star. They made sure Eden would become a well-known name. Eden gave a great performance as Jeannie, and her on-screen partnership with Major Nelson, played by Larry Hagman, became famous. Folks thought he was great, but nobody knew what was going on in the background. There were a lot of problems between Hagman and his co-workers because he was so dependent on drink. Eden never gave up on him and stuck by Hagman because she knew how special he was. His crazy behavior was an important part of the show, and it wasn't a bad thing. This mostly included crazy funny parts, and he put up with everything even though he was getting more and more unhappy with the writing. That wasn't all she did. During the 1960s, she worked very hard and was on TV shows like Route 66 and The Andy Griffith Show. She also got attention in movies like The Brass Bottle. Did you know, though, that the fact that she was cast in these high-class shows always made people suspicious? Even more so in The Brass Bottle, where she shared the lead role with Tony Randall and Burl Ives. Did you know why they were so wary? At that point in time, the show's censors wouldn't let her show her navel, but she always wore clothes that showed a lot of skin, which caused a big scandal at the time. That must make you wonder a million things. You'll have to wait to find out. We could make a whole movie about her love life because it was so interesting. Michael and Sarah, her first husband, was a famous TV star that she met on a random date. They were having a good time together, but Eden's bad relationship made them almost break up. Tony, her ex-boyfriend, was so gross and mean that he hurt her mental health. It got so bad that she had to act weak for a moment by trying to kill herself. This was something that had affected her for a long time. She still thinks about it and feels bad about it. And Sarah showed Eden that not all guys are the same and never really left her, which came as a surprise. He earned her trust and married Eden in 1958. Although they had tried for years, Eden finally got pregnant. She had to tell the show's creator, Sidney Sheldon, that she was pregnant while she was on I Dream of Jeannie. Sheldon was very angry. This was making him mad, and Eden made him even more mad. He calmed down and took care of the shooting plans. She had to wear scarves and hide her belly to hide the fact that she was pregnant. Eden was so happy when she saw how her son looked after all her hard work. She was okay with all the pain she was going through and thought that life was worth living. Matthew was the name they chose for their first child. He was born on August 29, 1965, when they were 34 years old. He caused her all the pain, and she thought her whole life was in that baby. She promised to keep him safe and never let anything hurt him. He should not have had anything bad happen to him, right? But her happiness didn't last long, because in 1971, she had a miscarriage while she was expecting their second child. And this was another thing that broke her heart. Eden got very depressed after giving birth because she didn't do anything about it. At the time, not many people knew about or talked about the illness. And everyone thought she was exaggerating to make them feel better. To be fair, she didn't fully understand this situation at the time. She lost a lot of weight and felt bad about herself in general because of the sadness and stress that was affecting her mind and body. The mental pain made her fight with her husband a lot, even though he was there for her. This made their relationship weaker. Years after years, their relationship got worse and worse until they finally got a divorce in 1973. That's how the divorce made their son feel, just like how Eden was heartbroken when her parents split up. It was something else Eden always felt bad about. It was her own admission that she might have stayed married until Matthew turned 18 if she had known how the breakup would affect her son. She moved on to Chicago with her new husband and left Aunt Sarah to take care of Matthew. Eden got married for the second time in 1977. It had been a long time since she had been married. At first, this marriage seemed like it would finally save her and give her hope and positivity, but what happened next broke her heart. And then she met Chuck Fagert, who worked in marketing. He seemed like the perfect match for her after her first painful split. It was too bad that it only took 8 months of dating. Barbara found out that Fagert was still married. It was really embarrassing for her, and it broke her trust in men for good. He was so rude to say that being married didn't matter because he wasn't a kid anymore. It made him sick that she let a fit man like him use her body and tried to use her status to get more attention. She also learned how well this man had hidden himself because he was friends with big drinkers and drug users, which was not a good thing. Before she even had a chance to think about it, he showed her who he really was by abusing her mentally and physically. For her own safety, Barbara had to end the marriage. As she thought about how wonderful her first husband really was, the end of her second marriage made her wonder if her first split had been worth it. You will think we are lying if we say that this wasn't the worst or most upsetting thing that Barbara had been through. What kind of hell did she go to next? Was she able to get away? Wait until you find out. After getting away from that animal, Barbara went back to Los Angeles in 1983. She was once again thinking about her life when she was hit with another terrible truth. Matthew, her son, had become hooked on heroin. Your first thought might be that he was only a few years old, so how could he have been an addict? Barbara told a BC News that Matthew became addicted when he was 10 years old, and things got worse because her ex-husband Michael and Sarah didn't know about it. When she found out that her son was addicted to heroin, it broke her heart again. After seeing how many times she had been hurt, you would wonder how she had lived this long. Matthew had promised her folks that he would never use drugs again, but while he was getting better, he lost it emotionally. It hurt so much for him, and he kept going back to drugs. What this meant was that Barbara had to use a tough love approach. To do this, she told Matthew that he could no longer stay in her house while using drugs. It's clear that she was hurting herself by making this terrible choice. But she also knew that she couldn't help him get over his drug problem. Matthew had to live on the streets for a while because of this choice, but Barbara made sure he didn't die of hunger. This and the fact that he kept abusing drugs destroyed their relationship, and they never fully rebuilt trust with each other. While she was concentrating on that, life dealt her another blow when she learned that her dear mother, with whom she had a close relationship, was going to die. It was found that her mother had lung cancer. She had been a credit manager at a jewelry shop. And just when she thought she was going to be able to calm down, she heard more bad news. This was something that would make her think about committing suicide again, which is normal for a sane person. What did she hear? She learned that Matthew had finally given up again. For him, it would have been just another Monday, but one word, she took her life. There was something different about this return because it was the last one. He had been struggling with addiction for years before he died of a heart attack caused by too much heroin. She no longer had a husband or anyone else to love. And the last thing she loved, her son, her beautiful and precious son, had also died. Barbara felt alone and wondered if it was because of what she did. Maybe it was how she was raised. Or it could have been the breakup with Matthew's dad that made him kill himself. There was no one for her to blame or depend on now. How did she stay alive for so long? What did she get that made her value life so much? Watch the whole video to find out. She no longer had anything. This is what everyone else thought about her. That wasn't the case for Barbara, though. It crossed her mind to do something bigger than herself. She knew that these drugs had hurt other people before her son. He wouldn't be the last either, so she used her fame to bring attention to it. She told her story so that it could help other people who were going through the same things. Her main point was that parents should be nosy and ready to help their kids if they are struggling with addiction. She wanted to show appreciation to parents who have to deal with the painful truth of seeing their kids struggle with drug use. She wanted to get help once more, and she searched for a group to join. So she tried again and married Jan Eichholz, her third and last husband. In 1991, she met John, who was a real estate agent and an engineer. They became very close and couldn't be apart. In an interview in 2021, Barbara thanked John in the most profound way possible and called her a rock. Up until now, their partnership has been full of love and support. As their lives came to an end, they helped each other find peace and security. Add one more treat for you all. This will surprise a lot of people. Since she was always a well-known person, there were stories about her. One of the most interesting reports was the silly ones, like the ones that said Bill Clinton had a crush on her in the 1960s and that she was dating Elvis Presley. Do you want to know the truth? Here it is. In truth, Barbara and Elvis were just friends. Presley admired Michael and Sarah, Barbara's husband at the time, for his acting career and for being able to stay close to Barbara after they got divorced. At the age of 92, she made news again in 2023 when she accepted the Legend Award at the National Arts and Entertainment Journalism Awards Gala. She wore a beautiful red suit that was meant to show how beautiful she was even after all these years.